Good morning, students. In the previous video, we looked upon the 4 to 5 important concepts, and now in this video, we will discuss more of the questions from the 2025 question paper, and we will look into some of the important concepts that were asked in the examination and what you can do about them in the future in the December UGC NET examination. All right. So let's start with the first question of this video. If not watched the previous video, I will give the link to the playlist in the description below. Alright, so let's start with this one. But before beginning this video, you can join our ongoing batch on all these competitive exams in English literature. Here are some reviews from the students that will help you make the decision.
I have qualified GRF this time because of Nakul Grover sir only. Without his notes, it was impossible for me to crack such a big exam.
Without you, it was impossible for me to crack the NET exam.
I have qualified my UGC NET in my first attempt.
He also acts like a guardian as well as a mentor. In every difficult path, he's always available whenever we need him.
My immense thanks to Nakul Grover sir and Limitless Literature.
It is very helpful and easy to understand. He supported me a lot.
I would definitely recommend Limitless Literature to all the NET aspirants out there.
Limitless literature with limitless guidance.
If you want to crack UGC NET with GRF in English literature, I highly recommend you to join with Limitless Literature.
And now, without any further ado, let's continue with this discussion. So here we have John Stuart Mill's The Subjection of Women, which is one of the most important early feminist texts in Western literature written at a time when women had no legal rights and women were considered property of their fathers, and then, of course, after getting married, they will be considered as the property of their husbands. So Stuart Mill argued that we should give legal right to women. So it is a feminist work, and if we are not giving the rights to women, it is not only morally wrong but also harmful to the society as a whole. He systematically challenged the belief that women are inferior. Everyone used to think that women are inferior to men. So he challenged this back then in 19th century. He says that women are not naturally dumb. There was centuries of oppressions. Mill's central argument was that society is wasting the talent of women by restricting them to domestic roles. The subjection of women is considered natural, and we have to come out of it. If my wife is educated, she will be taking care of the marriage, she will be taking care of my family, she will be taking care of the whole society. So this subjection of women, 1869, became a foundation text to establish the logical framework in gender equality. So now the question, we had 5 options in that particular question. A, husband was called the lord of the wife. B, she is a slave of any boy whose parents forces a ring upon her finger. So that could not be the right answer because that's a illogical statement. He was not that sort of intellectual who could write such sentences. So the B option is incorrect. C, wives are in general no better treated than slaves. D, the wife is the actual bond servant of her husband. E, if all women are not the victim of actual rape, then all of them are the victims of the threat of rape. So correct answer is quite logical, that is A, C, D. Okay, so now let's get back on to the another question, which is, who said that Shakespeare was the Homer or father of our dramatic poets? Of course, you know that John Dryden was one of the England's most important literary critic. He was also a poet. He was also a dramatist, playwright. He used to write during the Restoration period. He was comparing the 2 greatest English dramatists, of course, William Shakespeare and Ben Jonson. As you know that an essay of dramatic poesy, 1668 by John Dryden, came after the Puritan period. So now what happened in the Puritan period was that theaters were banned. Of course, you know that theaters were banned during the Puritan period. And now in Restoration period, theaters were being revived, restored after the Puritan bans. So Dryden created this essay to tell what good drama should be. Okay. So in this work, we have 4 characters who are sailing on the Thames River, okay, during the Second Dutch War. Please remember this point. During the Second Dutch War, there were four characters who were sailing on the river Thames. Okay, the first character was Cried. Crites used to defend ancient classical Greek and Roman drama. Lycidius defending French and neoclassical drama. Then we have Neander defending English drama, then his own views. So here the character Neander particularly points out the things about Shakespeare and Ben Jonson that we have seen in the question also. He argues that English dramatists have created something new and valuable, which is not a copy of ancient and French, of course. Okay, so Neander is the person who created this quotation that was asked in the examination. Okay, so that's the third character, Neander. Then we have fourth character, Eugenius, who defended both ancient and modern achievement. So the question has a statement: Shakespeare was the Homer or father of our dramatic poets. So Ben Jonson says that yes, Shakespeare was just like the Homer, just as we have the Homer, the same way we have Shakespeare in British literature. And in contrast, he says Ben Jonson is like the Virgil. The Virgil used to write a very eloquent writing. He has a lot of professional skills. The same way Ben Jonson has the same skills that of Virgil. So the Ben Jonson is the Virgil of British literature, we can say that. So now let's discuss the next question. The next question is, who has described his criticism as a byproduct of his private poetry workshop and as a prolongation of the thinking that went into the formation of my own verse? The right answer is T.S. Eliot. Alright, so again, this is very simple question. If you might have read T.S. Eliot criticism, you could have answered this very simply in the examination. T.S. Eliot was an important modernist poet, a literary. He was from 20th century. So when Eliot says that his criticism is private workshop, what does he mean? He is saying that even the profession of criticism is creative profession and it comes through the experience. He was a poet, you know that, and he has the experience of being a poet, and that experience made him the critic. He used to write a lot of poems, and there are a lot of challenges when writing a poem, and he innovated a lot of things so that he can solve the challenges. For example, we have objective, correlative, tradition, and individual talent. These are the innovations, right? Objective correlative is an innovation, not just purely academic. It is coming through his own experience as a poet. He was always concerned how a good poetry should be written. Let's take the example of objective correlative. It came from his own experiments. Private workshop means he is doing his own experiments. He experimented how he can convey complex idea in a poem. So he came up with this technique. So that's what private workshop all about. He wrote a lot of works. We know that tradition and individual talent. The metaphysical poets, the music of poetry. Yes, he has written it also. Then he has a lot of poems. The love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, Wasteland, that 4 quartets. So everything comes from his private workshop. Private workshop means his own understanding of how to become a good poet. So his theory of impersonal poetry. Impersonal poetry, he is sharing his own discoveries that helped him solve the creative problems in his own work. So that's what asked in the question paper. Question is, territorialization is a term given by Gayatri Spivak, Edward Said, John MacLeod, Giles Deleuze, and Felix Guattari. So the right answer is the fourth one, Deleuze and Guattari. So this territorialization is a very simple, of course. If you understand it, it's a simple one. So these are the 2 authors who developed these particular concepts. They combinedly they wrote 2 important works, particularly Anti-Oedipus 1972 and 1,000 Plateaus 1980. So both of them collaborated and worked on these 2 books, from where he came up with the concept of territorialization. What does it mean? Territorialization means organizing and controlling. Organizing and controlling. Let's take an example. You have a messy room with books, with clothes, papers scattered everywhere. And when you organize everything, how will you organize everything? You will put the clothes in the wardrobe, you will put the books on the shelf, you will take the papers, okay, you will put them in the folder. Yes, of course, that's what you do while organizing everything. So you will clean the room, you will clean the mess. So that is territorialization of your room. What does school do? School organizes how children should learn the subjects, how children should learn the timetables, grades. Then we have companies. Of course, companies is also a territorialization. Territory. Company is also a territory. Like limitless literature. In limitless literature, we have people who have their job roles, we have an office space, and we have working hours. So that is territory. Then we talk about government. Government has laws, rules and regulation. Government has police. Government has borders. Now here we have another concept, deterritorialization. Deterritorialization means breaking away, okay, breaking the territory. Deleuze and Guattari are saying that society constantly organize things and then break the things and then create new forms of organization. In post-colonial studies, it is very important. What happened? Like Europeans came to India, Britishers came to India, they they deterritorialized the Indian education system. Okay. And then they organized their own education system. They introduced the English language devised, okay, according to their own logic. Guattari says that cultural change is not simple. It involves breaking down and then rebuilding of the organization, rebuilding of the structures. That's what the whole concept of civilization all about. Okay. Territorialization means territory. You break it, you create it again according to the dynamic, according to the updated world. Okay. So we have to upgrade ourselves according to the new world, and we have to deterritorialize the old concepts, and then we have to re-territorialize the new concepts. Okay. So this is what that's there in the question paper, and that's how you have to decode the questions. Okay. So we will see more questions in the next video. And if you have not subscribed to UGC NET ongoing batch, do subscribe to it, and I'm sure that's going to help you a lot. The validity of the course is 1 year, and you don't have to make the notes. Everything will be provided to you in the form of booklets at your address, in the form of video lectures. All right. So I will see you soon. Thank you.